You know, I love New Blood and everything they've done for the indie scene. They really truly are an amalgamation of what the indie scene is and represents in gaming. I do honestly think that New Blood CEO Dave Autry, despite my best efforts to be an annoying reply guy to him on socials, is definitely one of the great talents when it comes to video game marketing and hype. Medieval is a truly great game published by New Blood. However, it always feels like it plays second fiddle to their flagship game, Dusk. There's parallels to be drawn here, with the Medieval being resigned to being like the Heretic or Hexen to Dusk's Doom or Quake, all of which were great games in their own right during that era, but with Heretic and Hexen being completely shadowed by the other two giants of the time. You know, I'm just gonna go ahead and ignore the weird body pillow fans of Ultra Kill here and say that, well, even if Dusk might be the game from New Blood's library that's been chatting with bitches all day long, and Medieval still slaps.
Napoleon, don't be jealous that I've been chatting online with babes all day.
Such an idiot.
Let me see what your best move is.
I'll go get it.
Jeez.
There was an era in video gaming when the DLC didn't exist. Back in the no internet era. These were the dark times. You know, where you had to go to an actual store and purchase the definitely officially licensed expansion pack.
You sure about that?
This is literally how updates to games shipped back in the day. We now find ourselves in an era where DLC essentially means extra content that you have to pay for to get a better or more fulfilled experience.
Holy Jesus. What the fuck is that?
The Black Labyrinth is a blast from the past. Here, we're given a fully fleshed out expansion to the original game. The premise is pretty simple. This is a prequel to Medieval, a time before you had the completely useless starting weapon, the axe. Okay, well, the spinning alt-fire was kind of fun, but honestly, I never really used it. Instead, now you only have your gauntlets, and I mean, like, damn, you've got, like, brass knucks on steroids here. Just look at them, man. Just look at them. And when you throw down with the alt-fire, it's like, I don't even really know what's going on here, but it's awesome. Anyways, I'll backtrack a bit here by saying that Medieval is one of my favorite games to come from this retro FPS revival. It was a boomer shooter before anyone even came up with the term boomer shooter. The aesthetics of the game are really remarkable, with the level designs being gorgeous and their straightforward but complex structure. It's honestly kind of a hard vibe to describe. It's blocky and low poly like games of the past, but peppered with modern lighting tech and modern nuances and modern performance. It's just fantastic. One of the more interesting but subtle standouts here was a technique the devs have described as normal mapped sprites, which essentially applies 3D lighting to the 2D sprites of your weapons. A truly unique idea, which is a fundamental aesthetic of this game. I'm just a consumer and player who doesn't understand game development though, so this might as well be black magic to me. As an aside, it's actually really impressive to me that New Blood went to the efforts to incorporate NVIDIA's ray tracing tech into the game. Essentially, just because it looks cool. They even did a VR edition, but that's not really my thing.
Blue 42! Blue 42!
And it's also got DLSS to keep that frame rate up, which is always going to be a big thumbs up from me. You know, all the people on social media that think 60 FPS or even, God forbid, 30 FPS is perfectly fine have either never played on a high refresh monitor, forgot to change the settings in control panel, or just have broken eyes. Like, sorry man, if you don't see the difference with high frame rate, something is not working properly here, and it might be you. So, the Black Labyrinth. As I already mentioned, the starting gauntlets, the gauntlets of Platinum Star are a whole bunch of vibes. I'm not entirely sure if these are better or worse than the starting axe from the base game. The axe of the Black Labyrinth from the base game. The basic idea here is that the Black Labyrinth is a sort of rite of passage trial before you acquire the axe and then become known as the champion. Ironically, once I got through the DLC, I would have rather just played the base game with the gauntlets. Like, I'm good, dog. The game actually does give you this option, so that's pretty dope. Most of the arsenal beyond that is the same, with your blue and green mana weapons and my personal favorite, the Celestial Claw. I guess you could say this thing is like the equivalent of a rocket launcher in any other FPS game, except this one is seriously metal. Basically, this thing plucks random planets, moons, or even stars out of the cosmos so you can then weaponize them and chuck them at enemies as an explosive. A couple of them definitely look very populated, including that one.
Bruh.
Hey, that looks familiar too. The only other change to the base game's arsenal is the replacement of the top tier purple mana weapon. In the base game, this was this weird looking thing called the Eternium. I think that's how I say it. Which is, well, I don't really know what it is. Neither does the wiki. It's essentially the BFG. Now, instead of that thing, we get the Void Splitter, this gnarly scythe that basically just cuts everything in front of you in half.
Yes! That's awesome!
While its alt fire isn't quite as cool as the black holes from the other one, the Void Splitter still does the work by absolutely just deleting everything that stands in front of you. I think I'd rather take this thing through the base game as well, if I'm being honest here. I touched on it earlier, but the level design and general aesthetics of Medieval are just gorgeous. It has a truly unique art style and vibe. One of the really standout levels of this DLC was the wall, where you have these giant omniscient daggers flying in at you while you scale the wall. It's really cool. The Black Labyrinth plays mostly like another episode for a Medieval, however this is worth your time and cash. From my multiple playthroughs, I can say it'll take you about twice the amount of time the standard episode in the base game would have. You know, a Medieval is one of those games that, I know I like. I've played it multiple times, and well, I already know. However, whenever I sit down to take it for a spin, the hours just melt away. It's a truly polished and very well made game. It transcends its boomer shooter status in so many ways. The gameplay is well balanced, the worlds are engaging, and the challenge is addicting. The Black Labyrinth fulfills its duties as a proper expansion pack, a well fleshed out prequel to an already great game. The only thing missing is the big box. Thanks for watching.